Hello, Power Players. Welcome to the T-shirt Transfer Paper Power Half Hour, brought to you by all the amazing individuals that comprise Condé Systems Incorporated. My name's Doug DeWitt, Transfer Paper Product Manager, host of the show. Welcome to it. And with us, as always, my director, working all the controls, Mr. Rodeo Bo. Glad to have Rodeo Bo back. Glad he's back from the circuit unharmed. This is a makeup episode for us. We were supposed to air this episode last Tuesday. We are basically talking about how to use the Digital Factory 10 RIP software to do your designs for dark or black garments today. I'm going to go over the features that I use within the RIP and try to make it as simplistic as possible, but yet cover most of the bases so that once we're done, we've got a great looking, soft feeling print. But since we missed last week, we are overdue on a week for what, Bo?
Pay the power bill.
We got to pay the power bill, ladies and gentlemen, and we're a week overdue, so I hope they don't cut us off mid-show here. But the first thing I wanted to talk about is it is September, of course, as we all know, but it is Stock Up September here at Condé Systems. Every week, we are showcasing products on sale so that you can stock up for Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, the Iron Bowl, whatever your big holiday is. But yeah, we got the goods and we've got them on sale, different products every week. Make sure you go to our website, condé.com, and click on the banner for more information. And also included with that special is a $20 off coupon for orders of $200 or more. You can use that coupon once a week. Make sure you click on the banner for more details. Also, if you haven't done it already, our quarterly gallery contest is about to expire, and I'm talking about our Sublimation Schoolhouse quarterly gallery contest. It's interesting because I was told the other day by our IT guys, we've had almost 50,000 entries in our quarterly gallery contest over the years, which I think is awesome. So hopefully we could put a showcase of all these best products together for you real soon and show you what people are submitting. But make sure you get in yours, which is a photograph of your best back-to-school sublimated item. And remember, grand prize winner gets $400 in Condé credit. And we've got other prizes available for the contest as well. So make sure you enter our Sublimation Schoolhouse quarterly contest. And the last thing that we need to bring up, we are running a great special right now on the Ricoh RI100 direct-to-garment system. If you purchase the Ricoh RI100 direct-to-garment printer with the RH100 curing unit and our bundle, not only are you going to get a discounted price, but you are going to get an additional A4 garment tray with the system. And this is going to allow you to double up production. Basically, you can have one garment tray in the printer while your second garment tray is in the oven curing a shirt. So it's going to speed you up. It's a great package. Make sure to click on the banner. It will generate an email. If you want more information on this special, get in touch with one of our account managers toll free. That number is 1-800-826-6332. Or you can visit our website, www.condé.com. All right. Well, I think we got the power bill paid, Rodeo Bo. Let's jump into today's topic, which is working with the Digital Factory 10 RIP, specifically for doing black t-shirts. So what we're going to cover today, when it comes to the Digital Factory 10, this thing is very feature rich. I mean, it's got hundreds of options that we can employ in order to enhance our graphic and make it not only as vibrant as we possibly can, but have the graphic soft and durable. That is done through what we call rasterization or screening. Now, what we're going to cover today are basically the 5 or 6 steps that I go through with every graphic if I intend to put it to a dark t-shirt. We're going to cover those steps. We're going to show you the effects to the graphic and the RIP. We're going to show you some output, and then we're going to show you some finished samples. So everybody sit back, relax. Bo, let's go ahead and jump on our computer, and we'll get started with the Digital Factory 10 RIP. Thank you, Bo. So here I have the Digital Factory 10 RIP open. Before we get started, ladies and gentlemen, a few things that we have to do. The very first thing I want to do is make sure that I have my media type selected and my media size selected. This is important because selecting the proper paper type will upload presets that will basically dictate to the printer the proper input tray, media type, and media weight settings so that we get a successful print. So it's very important that we go ahead and dictate which paper we're going to use and that paper size. So now that we've got that done, let's go ahead and bring in a graphic. And I'm going to work with this file today, Old Movie Poster, the weirdest visitor Earth has ever seen, the man from Planet X. I wonder if they've seen David Bowie. But anyway, let's go ahead and bring the graphic in. You'll notice here, I've got an updated version of Digital Factory 10 running. There is a new update available. So if you have Digital Factory 10, you might want to check it out. But one of the new updates, it gives you a warning where if it believes your resolution is a little low, it will go ahead and suggest to use the supersize image function. Let me click OK just to clear the warning. And let's look at our print preview. Here we've got our graphic. Right now, our graphic is 7 inches by 10 inches approximately. But we did get the warning about the image resolution. So let's go ahead and fix that first. What I'm going to do is go up to the file line and I'm going to right click, open up my dialog box, and we are going to go down to supersize image. Let's click on supersize image, and this allows us to increase the image resolution of a graphic, which is really great because in most instances, we're usually accustomed to dealing with low resolution graphics that we need to enhance and clean up. At the moment, this image is at 150 dpi. Now, it also says I can reach a maximum resolution of 2116 dpi. That's a little bit of overkill for what we are going to do. My suggestion for a good target resolution is to have your graphic between 150 to 300 dpi once the image is finally resized. So what I'm going to do here is just simply change the resolution to my new image resolution, 300 dpi, and you see it's going to generate about a 19 megabyte file once we do that. We click OK, and notice it gives us a print preview. So we can check different aspects of our design, make sure everything looks good. Let's click OK. Now, depending on the strength of your computer, this process may take a few seconds to a couple of minutes, but essentially what the RIP is doing is it's basically re-rasterizing the graphic. We should now be at 300 dpi. We're still at our same 7-inch by 10-inch image. I'm going to go ahead and increase that image size to 15 inches in length. And let me go ahead and center the graphic on my page. Now, I can always check the new resolution by right-clicking, going back into supersize image, and see what the resolution is at the moment. At the moment, I'm at 212 dpi. Like I said, as long as we're between 150 to 300 dpi, we should be okay. Anything less than 150 dpi, we might not get a quality graphic. Anything over 300 dpi, it may take the RIP a while to essentially raster the file for printing. So, like I said, we want to work within certain parameters here. But as far as our image resolution, we've now got that set. Now, the next thing I want to do is make some color adjustments to my file. Now, I will have to confess, I am not a graphic artist, but the great thing about Digital Factory 10 RIP is you really don't have to be. Let's go back up to the file and right-click again to open up our dialog box, and we can go to Easy Adjustments. Now, when it comes to this part, there are 2 easy adjustments that I always perform to every graphic I bring into Digital Factory 10. I will adjust the contrast and let the RIP do the calculation for me. Let me right-click again, go back to Easy Adjustments, and I increase saturation. I do this because anytime we generally bring a file into a graphic program and send it through to a CMYK process printer, it's always going to be a little dull if we don't basically work with our graphic program to adjust the saturation. Now, of course, if you are a true graphic artist, there are individual controls that you can do to manipulate the contrast, the brightness, the saturation, and the hue. You can even control the gammas with the Digital Factory 10 RIP. But if you're someone like me, more of a production guy, and you're just trying to get a decent graphic out to the printer, it's nice having those easy adjustments, and I always perform those too. If you want to experiment with some of the other easy adjustments, such as cleaning up black, cleaning up white, making the graphic darker or lighter, or working with the transparent pixels, you're more than welcome to do it. But like I said, always make sure to use contrast and increase saturation, and more often than not, you're going to get the enhancements that you need to your design to truly make the graphic pop. Okay, so we've increased our image resolution and we have made our color adjustments. Very simple with the Digital Factory 10 RIP. Now the next thing we're going to do is instruct the RIP that we are going to a black t-shirt and we are going to knock out this black within the design. The reason we do that is by creating these open areas of the design where we take out the black and essentially let the shirt color substitute. What that does is it gives us a natural break pattern that allows the design to be more flexible and more durable during the wash and dry cycle. In other words, if we have an open design where water can flow through, we're going to get much better image durability. Where most people tend to make a mistake when involving the RIP program is they tend to print graphics like these as a solid fill graphic. If you print as a solid fill graphic, what you're probably going to experience is a very heavy feeling shirt, and it's going to break down in the washer and dryer faster because essentially you've got a solid piece of film on your t-shirt. Hope that makes sense to you. If you have any questions about that, make sure to hit our inbox, TTPPHH@Condé.com, or you can leave comments here on YouTube or Facebook Live, and Rodeo and I will get to them as fast as we can. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get to knocking out this black backgrounding. What I'm going to do is right-click on my file again, and I'm going to go down to Production Plugins. And in our production plugins, you will see Knock Me Black Out. Very weird sounding name, but a very useful tool. Let's go ahead and click on it. And as you can see here, and allow me the opportunity to zoom in, there we go. The RIP is knocking out this background black so that I can essentially let the shirt color substitute for these areas. And like I said, opening up these areas will give the design the softness and flexibility so that you have a soft feeling hand and multiple washes and dries. Now, the reason I want to go through this step here is to show you when it comes to what they call the under base on knockout black, it comes at a default setting of 74, but it's based on a scale of 255, okay? So once you see this default number appear and you get an idea of how much black it is knocking out, if you lower this number, let's say we lower it 20 points down to 54, you will see in the preview that it's knocking out even more black. If you raise the number, let's go 20 points higher, 94, you see now it starts to preserve more and more of the black. Okay, so if you have a graphic that has some fine details or some fine details within the shadowing, you might want to increase this number from the normal default to make sure you capture that. If you've got vast coverage areas of black, you might want to lower this number, so to speak, just to make sure you rid yourself of all the black out of the design. But once you have everything set, you click OK. And again, the RIP will do the processing. And now we have our knocked out design. And just to show you the effect, let's change the background color of our sheet. And that's a representation of how the design should look against a black t-shirt. So I think we've got this graphic ready. We resized, we enhanced our image resolution, we made our color adjustments to contrast and saturation, and we've knocked out the black. So now let's go ahead and double click on the file and launch the 8432 production queue, because I will be working with a Crio 8432 WDT today. A few settings that we have to check before we rip the file. The first thing we want to do is we want to go to our layer profile. And under our layer profile, we want to make sure that all 4 process colors, including white, are enabled. You should see the check boxes here. Just so you know, if you uncheck or disable white, it's essentially the same thing as turning off the white toner in your 8432 or your 9541. But we want to print with the white, so let's make sure it's enabled. And you check that here under Layer Profile. Next, let's go to our processing options, because here there's a few settings that we want to make sure that we have correct. First is our coverage setting. Now, you'll notice here the coverage is set at 200%. So any color combination of CMYK that essentially adds up below 200, the RIP will deposit white behind that color. Any color combination where C, M, Y, and K values total above 200, no white will be applied. It's a nice money-saving feature. It also allows for a softer design because we're reducing the toner layer. Another thing that we might want to check is what they call the choke. This, in the people who are familiar with the Forever Transfer RIP, it's the same setting as the underfill. But basically what this does is it commands the RIP to place the white pixels, in this case, 3 pixels within the design. If you've ever had issues with white edging or outlining around your design, using this choke feature is a nice way of cutting off that excess white and making sure that you have a nice clean design. So I generally tend to go with about 3 pixels. If I'm dealing with a low resolution graphic, you might want to increase that number. Just a word of warning there. Now, beyond that, we've already used the Knock Me Blackout, so we have gone through these steps here. Last thing we want to check is ink removal. Let's go to ink removal. Now, as long as ink removal is enabled, basically what you will see is the raster or screening process within the design. Here, the frequency setting basically sets the frequency, let's say like the pattern or the intensity of the dropout dots. The lower the number, the fewer the dropout dots. The higher the number, the more the dropout dots. Of course, here, angle sets the angle at which the dots occur. As far as the shape is concerned, this inverted round is the default shape, so to speak. This is similar to what the Forever Transfer RIP refers to as the Euclidean shape. Now, of course, you've also got set shapes, such as round, line, ellipse, diamond, elliptical. Pardon me. But basically what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is I want to show you what is essentially the default setting in the Digital Factory 10 RIP. Now, generally speaking, I say don't vary from this default setting because it's going to be right for you 9 times out of 10. As far as hole size is concerned, it basically lets us so that anything that is full coverage, which is 255 here, will basically get no dropout dot. If we reduce this number here, essentially what we will do is increase the size of the dropout hole. And I'll demonstrate that in another graphic. But basically what we want to make sure is that we do have the screening enabled. And like I said, we're just going to go with the default settings for now, so I can show you how this graphic is going to represent. But once we've made those adjustments there, we can go back to our file, right click, rip the file. And the reason I like to do this as opposed to rip and print is once I've got the file ripped, I can right click and select View Raw Data. and get an idea of how the raster pattern is going to look before I hit the print button. So allow me to zoom out here. Now here you can see we've got our design with our black background. If I were to turn off the background or just reset it to white, now you could see the dropout design here. Let me drop this image a little lower. And right here, if we view all colors as black, this basically gives us an idea of the toner concentration of our design. Areas that are white basically have no toner to them. Areas that are black are areas of high toner coverage. But as you can see, this dropout pattern here, or this screening pattern, like I said, instead of having one solid piece of film, it's like having thousands of little dots, so that when the design stretches, it will stretch with the design or with the garment. When we're washing and drying this, water flows through this. It doesn't butt up against it and cause it to prematurely deteriorate. So, like I said, these are basically the gimmicks that I use whenever I am printing a design to a dark t-shirt. I'm going to go ahead and send this file to the printer right now. And Rodeo, if you can get back to me here. Thank you, Rodeo. And through the miracle of modern television, ladies and gentlemen, here we have our design printed out on Forever Laser Dark Low Temp. I'm going to hold it up to the zoom camera, Bo. So everybody could see the transparent areas in that design where it should have been black according to the original file. Thank you, Bo. Now go ahead and give me the overhead. And just to show you the effect, when we lay this design against a dark t-shirt, that's how it should look. And I'm going to lay this finished example down that I did earlier. And there's our finished design on the garment. And like I said, having these open areas in the design is what's going to give the design the ability to flex without cracking. And this design is also going to handle multiple washings and dryings because, like I said, we're not dealing with a solid piece of film. We're only filling in the graphic as needed. And those are the steps that you need to employ when using the Digital Factory 10 RIP. If we can get back to my computer, Bo, I want to demonstrate one more time with another graphic. Thank you very much. Let me go ahead and bring another graphic in real quick. There we go. And again, I'm getting the warning about my image resolution. There's my graphic right there. At the moment, this is basically a 6-inch by 7-inch or 6-inch by 8-inch graphic. Let's run through the steps. We right click. We do our supersize image. My DPI is currently 150, but I know I want to increase the size, so I'm going to need to increase the resolution. Let's start with 300. We can check our work. Make sure everything looks good. Click OK. And again, when it comes to the image resolution enhancement, the supersize function, the speed at which this happens is going to depend on the strength of your computer. But there, we've got it at our new resolution. Now we can go ahead and resize. I want that to be a 10-inch graphic. Maybe I can make it a little taller. How about 12 inches? Yeah, let's do that. Go ahead and center it up. So we did the resolution first. Now let's work on the color. We go to easy adjustment, the two that I use, contrast, and Back to easy adjustments. Increase saturation. So if this design is intended to be on a black t-shirt, let's go on to our next step, which is go into our production plugins. Let's knock out the black. And there we can see our before and after. And again, like I said, we can scale or adjust the amount of black that we want to knock out. Once we have that set, let's just double check. Put in our black background color. Make sure that's how we want the design to appear. Now, let's go ahead and, pardon me, double click. Let's get into our production settings. Remember, check your layer profile. Make sure that white is enabled. Check your processing options. Make sure to set your coverage. I recommend 200 for black t-shirts and about 150 for lighter color t-shirts. Make sure you employ this choke feature. Like I said, especially if you have issues with white outline around your designs. Most of the time, that will correct. As far as these settings are concerned, we've already used the knocked out black, and we've already boosted our color through the contrast and increased saturation steps. So we don't have to worry about those here. Pardon me. Let's just go into ink removal. And again, we want to make sure it's enabled. I'm going to leave the frequency and I'm going to leave the angle and the shape. But what I am going to demonstrate for you is I'm going to change this hole size. I want to drop this figure about 30 points from 255 to 225 to show you the effect that it has. Let's click OK. Let's right click and rip the file. And now let's view the raw data. Okay, so here we have our graphic here. Now, of course, this is how it should represent against a white background. But the one thing you'll notice here is now I have these dots that are showing up within the design. And just to kind of show you here, doesn't matter what color the dots are represented. This happened because I made the adjustment to the hole size. In other words, at 255, all these little pinholes are still there. They're just basically closed up to the point where it looks like a solid fill. But since I do have big solid areas of this design, I wanted to break it up just a little bit more. So that's why I adjusted the hole size. And just to show you the effect here, first let me get back to a white background. And now let's see all four colors as black. So now basically you could see that pattern. But putting in this distress pattern, again, it allows the design some flexibility because it breaks up the surface tension, and it also adds to the wash durability because now water can flow through that design. So let me go ahead and send this job to the printer. And Bo, thank you, sir. Again, miracle of modern television. That's the design as it came out of the 8432 WDT. Go ahead and hold it up to our zoom camera. Now these areas here, like in the tiger stripes where it looks black, it's really not, okay? Those areas are transparent, which basically means no films go in there. But like I said, it creates a natural break. And whenever these prints come out, if you think to yourself, oh, well, this is never going to turn out the way I intended, just hold it against your dark t-shirt. It'll look just fine. And to show you a finished example that we did earlier in the show, there we go. And like I said, as far as the pinhole pattern here, It's what's going to give this design flexibility. It's also what's going to give it durability, because having that raster pattern is basically what allows the design to survive multiple washes and multiple dries. So if you want to basically increase the vibrancy of your output, if you want to work with a softer feeling design, if you want to make that design last longer, just cover these basic tips that we went over today in the Digital Factory 10 RIP and employ them for yourself. And I think you will see your results improve. Now, if you have any questions about the material that we covered today, like I said, make sure to inbox us, TTPPHH@Condé.com. You can also leave your question in the comments section on YouTube or on Facebook Live. But when I look over those, we'll get you answers as quick as we can. If you like this video, hit that like button. Yeah, you might see it looks like a thumbs up. Go ahead and do that. If you have any comments, pro or con, make sure to add them. If you have colleagues that could benefit from this information, make sure to share this video. Just to kind of go over the things that we wanted to point out today, and let me make sure I've got them. One more thing. If you're looking for lessons on the Digital Factory 10 RIP and you are a Crio user, you have the 8432 or you have the 9541, don't forget that you can sign up and register at mycrio.com, and in their menu they have what they call Crio Academy. Lots of tutorials on using the Digital Factory 10 RIP, lots of lesson plans on there. They even have live lessons once or twice a month going over different features within the Digital Factory 10. So plenty of resources out there to get you up to speed utilizing this program. Like I said, if you have any questions, inbox us, let us know. Wanted to let you know that the T-shirt transfer paper power half hour will be taking a little bit of a hiatus, but we will be back on Tuesday, October 4th. That's Tuesday, October 4th, 3:30 p.m. We're going to have a great show for you. By that time, we should have the brand new Forever papers in, the Forever Multitrans and Multitrans Pro, and we'll give you a demonstration on October 4th, next episode of the T-shirt Transfer Paper Power Half Hour. Until then, I'm Doug DeWitt, your host, and for Rodeo Bow, our time is up. We thank you for yours.